I have a feeling I'm gonna get some heat for this one. I haven't actually seen anyone else's opinions on this yet because it's taken me so long to get through. I haven't had time to look at anyone else's thoughts beside my own, literally. And that should already give you a clue as to how I feel about this because this took everything in me to finish. I did this for you guys, you're welcome. And you're about to find out why. So without further ado, let's get into it. Disclaimer, as per usual, there will be mild spoilers in this video, and if there's explicit spoilers, then I will say it and you can skip it using the chapters at the bottom of this video. And I do not expect everyone to agree with me. These are my subjective, albeit passionate, opinions, and I'd love to hear what you thought about this drama down below too in the comments. My Royal Nemesis follows Kang Dan-shim, a courtesan from the Joseon era who finds herself in the body of a woman called Shin Seo-ri, living as an actress in modern-day Seoul. We are brought along her journey, her initial confusion, and then her eventual acceptance after striking a bond with CEO Se-gye, the stubborn, arrogant, classic chaebol male lead. Now, ordinarily, I love a good time travel story, especially when the leads find themselves in the body of their doppelganger or in a different timeline. That being said, I didn't particularly enjoy how it was done in My Royal Nemesis, for a few reasons. One, it wasn't done completely accurately, if we're going to go by technicalities, and I'm big on technicalities. And two, it didn't feel incredibly realistic. And before you tear me to shreds, I mean realistic in terms of how she would be acting after she realised she was no longer in her time period. Not realistic in terms of it being something that could actually happen. For example, she gets incredibly confused by cars, which is slightly more close to something that she would know, but a phone is somehow not at all alien to her. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too caught up on it, but it definitely broke the illusion the show was trying to create, in my opinion. And whilst we're still breaking down the main plot, considering the title is My Royal Nemesis, there wasn't much rivalry or enemies to lovers between the leads. We actually got a confession of feelings earlier in this than most other regular K-dramas. I did not get the impression that they were particularly rivals, which I would have enjoyed. I think they could have used that to build up a lot of tension between the two. Which brings me on to my final point of this opening section, and that is the chemistry between the leads. Now this, I think, will divide people because my personal opinion is that the chemistry between the two leads wasn't great romantically. Sorry. I thought they worked well together, but it felt more like your best friend's younger brother having a crush on you and trying to make a move every time you come over and failing, rather than two adults falling in love, to me. And I understand one-sided or unrequited love, but this didn't have that energy either. It was more, like I just said, a childish crush. I will admit, I thought they had more romantic chemistry in the later episodes, but it definitely took time developing and time for me to believe it. And even in the end, I wasn't fully convinced. But before we get into any more, let's dissect the characters and their specific roles in this story. Shin Seo-ri, or Kang Dan-shim, is a great female lead. I know, that sounds crazy coming from me after I've just completely bashed the show so far, but I genuinely really enjoyed her character. She had so many levels to her and a great character progression too, something I was really pleased with. She's also incredibly funny, and it feels really natural as if it's just her nature and not a performance, if that makes sense. I thought she presented the woman finds herself in a new world completely different from her own confusion really well, and took it to serious points and also silly points too. You can tell there was definitely a lot of thought put into her character. Maybe too much thought when you compare her to the other characters, sorry not sorry, and how she should be portrayed, which came across really well, especially as she multi-roles too. I honestly just really like her as an actor. I think she's brilliant in the roles that she plays and has a lot of range that she brought to this role just by itself. As the series progresses, more of her character is revealed through flashbacks to the past and what her life was like before she was killed and before she was even a courtesan. It's crazy to see how much she's changed and how much she had to grow as well. I do have one thing to say though, so spoiler alert, skip ahead here if you haven't watched it. I didn't understand how she was actually Seo-ri all along. Like, it genuinely doesn't make sense to me, because surely then she wouldn't have been as shocked as she was to be back in the real world. Not the real world, the modern world, you know what I mean. Like, it seemed like the real Dan-shim had been waiting to go back to her era and remember after all those years, but Seo-ri had no idea? That didn't make sense to me. I understand that they wanted to have this big twist, and it did shock me, but it was also kind of not believable when I actually thought about it. It maybe would have been more believable had Dan-shim also not remembered, but she did. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't thought through as much as it should have been, and you can make the argument that it's not that deep, but if you're trying to create a world on screen, We're supposed to watch it and believe what's happening. It's almost as if that's the whole point of acting. Now, as much as I like it, I can't say the character was perfect because there were elements of it that, like I've already mentioned, weren't extremely accurate in terms of what they were trying to present, but I enjoyed watching her nevertheless, and I loved seeing a female lead that's strong, independent, and fierce, as well as funny, sensitive, and grounded. Se-gye is my least favourite type of male lead. The arrogant, rich, vain, self-centered type. Like, bro, please stop thinking you're all that. Personality matters just as much as looks, if not more. Sue me. I'm pretty sure I rolled my eyes so much when he was on screen that I missed like half of his scenes because nothing was pulling me towards his character. Nothing. And tell me why he is quite literally San and Jaehyun's love child. You cannot convince me otherwise, and I don't care that he's older than both of them. I know I'm right. I'm honestly just tired of this type of character, the one that waltzes through life expecting everything and expecting the world to just fall in love with them. Even when seriously trying to confess his feelings for Se-ri, he would make a comment about himself or his appearance, unironically too, I might add. I didn't even have 1 ounce of feeling when he said, "I yearn for you." A line that would usually get me weak in the knees, mind you, blushing, giggling, the works. He was just so much of a red flag to me that anything he did that was nice for her just didn't hit like it should have. After almost a decade of watching K-dramas, and a lot of them being in this genre, I feel like this archetype just hasn't changed at all. And whilst there are a few exceptions to the classic CEO male lead that I do enjoy watching, I always use Guan from King the Land as my example for this, the majority of the time I'm disappointed by their portrayals and come away from the show even more reluctant to ever want to approach or be with that type of person in real life. If it's meant to convince me to pursue that path, it's doing a bad job of it. And this isn't a critique of his acting. I thought he acted the way that he was supposed to, and he did a great job multi-rolling too. It's more of a critique to his character, because I feel like there wasn't particularly any character progression either. He was maybe a bit softer at the end, but he's still, well, him. On the other hand though, it's the same actor, so I'll speak about it in this section too. I thought the prince was a great character. I felt like he had a lot more depth despite being a lesser shown character, and I quite liked the storyline too. Like, if the show had actually been a period drama that explored the relationship and the dynamic between him and Dan-shim, I would have been much more engaged. I felt like the scenes I actually fully locked into with those ones because they engaged me a lot more, and strangely, I felt like they had more chemistry playing these two than they did playing Se-ri and Se-gye. I don't know, I'm curious to know whether anybody else thought the same, so please let me know in the comments below if you did. There are a lot of other characters in this show that are focused on, and I mean a lot, which brings me nicely to another bone I have to pick with this show, and that is that they were trying to give us about 50 different stories at one time. Of course, there are always going to be B-plots and often C-plots in a show or a movie, but it seemed like they were trying to run lots of different main plots against each other. Like, we had the time travelling, obviously, Se-ri's acting journey, Se-gye's company and rivalry with his relatives, Se-ri and her grandma, Ji-hyo, not the one you're thinking of, and her rivalry with Se-ri, and also her relationship with Se-ri's manager guy. There's a lot more, but I don't think we need to list off every single storyline because you get the point. It's a lot. It honestly seems like everyone is rivals apart from the main couple who are actually supposed to be. It made it very complicated and difficult to keep up with what was going on, in my opinion, so much so that I'm still unsure how everything came to be how it did by the end of the show. Another thing I kept thinking about was how they were supposed to be showing a parallel between the leads in the Joseon era and the modern era, and how the storyline made sense when they were giving the flashbacks to the past, and how it felt way too dramatic in the modern era. Like, why are we all trying to kill each other over the chairman position? It's really not that serious. You're all rich, literally just create another company. It would maybe make more sense if Se-gye's cousin, or whatever he is, actually, yeah, what is he to Se-gye? I couldn't for the life of me figure out, are they cousins, uncle, nephew? I know they aren't brothers, but it's implied that they aren't that far apart in age, so please can someone let me know? Anyway, it would make more sense if Mundo was a psychopath and that's why he was doing all this crazy ass stuff, but he's not, and he's actually presented as a good guy outside of business. I'm using that term very loosely, so it all just feels super melodramatic and not all realistic. Or maybe it is. I'm not in the business world, so maybe this stuff is more common than I think it is, but that's just how I feel about it. This takes me back to a point I said earlier, that had this show been a pure period drama, I think it would have been received so much better, because the storyline for that part of the show is interesting and is successfully portrayed for the most part. Hi, this is me editing. I realised I kind of forgot to make a point that I remember thinking about so much when watching it, and that is that I don't get how Se-ri recognised Mundo as the emperor, and like recognized him straight away, but she didn't recognize Se-gye, who was her first love, you know, the prince. And that didn't make any sense to me. Like, surely she would have recognized him more, or like, you know, had a stronger feeling towards him, Se-gye, I mean. But she didn't. Oh, as far as I can remember, she didn't. So that confused me a little bit. Somebody, if I'm wrong, then I'd love to know, like, if she did recognize him. But to me, it didn't make sense when they were showing this parallel, and like it was obvious that they had fallen in love in different lifetimes, and that Se-ri knew him before as the prince and not as him as the CEO. So yeah, that confused me a little bit. I don't know. And that's just reminded me of another thing that actually sent me crazy. And this is a spoiler, so skip ahead now. If in your time travel story, you're allowing the past to be changed, history to be changed, the present has to change too. Or would actually already be changed, because that's how it would work. The best examples I can think of right now are Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where Harry and Hermione travel back in time, and In a Time Called You, which is possibly the best example of time travel I have ever seen. Like, genuinely. Those two are both incredible examples of what happens when the past is changed, but in this, girlie just wakes up in her body again. History hasn't changed one bit, and it's literally as if nothing happened. Make it make sense! Well, that's my complaining done, thank goodness. I'm not going to sit here all day and pick apart every moment I didn't like, because this video would be a lot longer if I did that, and it wasn't all bad. As much as I hate to admit it, I did catch myself smiling when it got to the last couple of episodes, and you may have even caught me giggling, maybe. But for the most part, this was a really difficult drama to get through, personally, as it just felt long for the sake of being long, and it felt like the story wasn't executed or even written as well as it should have been. I definitely see the potential in the plot, but unfortunately I didn't think it met that standard. As usual, I do just want to explicitly state again that these are my personal opinions, and I'm not saying that you can't enjoy it, because that's just crazy, and everyone has different tastes and opinions. I just wasn't drawn in or engaged by this specific story. But please let me know what you thought of My Royal Nemesis in the comments below. I'd love to know how far you agree or how far you disagree with me, and what you thought about the show overall. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely still give it a watch if you haven't, so you can have your own opinions on it. I know my review might not be very convincing as a reason as to why you should watch it. I won't be watching it again, but that shouldn't stop you if you've had it on your list. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out my other content too. Slowly but surely, I'm increasing the amount of videos under my name, and I actually didn't know if I'd be able to release one this Tuesday because it was my birthday yesterday. I'm recording this on Monday, so I didn't actually know if I'd have time to do it, but I have, so you're welcome. I post every Tuesday, so make sure to tune in then, and I also do a Flashback Friday video once a month of a drama from at least over a year ago, so let me know if there's any you'd like to see reviews on. Also head over to my Substack where you'll find extra content from me throughout the week. The link is in the description of this video. As always, thank you so much for tuning into another video. Until next time, my drama princes and princesses, stay dramatic. Mwah!